that it would help, I think, with the public's trust. Not so much that they should believe members of Congress, but I think that if this was an announced group meeting and members, and then it gets some publicity, and maybe there could be a news conference afterwards. I don't know. I think there's validity in why we're having this hearing today, and I just wanted to share those thoughts with the panel and you, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues. I yield back.
Why are some people saying Fort Knox was recently audited, while others insist the last real audit happened decades ago?
One thing potentially that could happen, and people are questioning it, is maybe remarking gold. Elon Musk, who's leading Doge, was talking about maybe going to Fort Knox to make sure those gold reserves are there. That comes under your purview. Do you have any plans to visit Kentucky?
I don't have any plans. I can tell you that we do an audit every year. I can tell the American people on camera right now that there was a report September 30th, 2024. All the gold is there. Any U.S. senator who wants to come and visit it can arrange a visit through our office.
Why does the U.S. government seem indifferent to the public distrust this creates? Could it be that showing the public what's inside would make them trust the U.S. even less? Toward the end of this video, I'll show you how oddly nervous the very man who was in charge of safeguarding Fort Knox's gold until 2019 looks under pressure. The U.S. government has long used its power and geographic safety to act without consequence, often at the expense of others. And this story is no exception. After World War II, trust in the U.S. was high, especially under the Bretton Woods Agreement. Many countries sent their gold to America for safekeeping, believing they could reclaim it in exchange for dollars at any time. But by 1971, those countries realized something. There were more dollars in circulation than gold in U.S. vaults. One by one, they began demanding their gold back. That's when President Nixon abruptly shut the gold window, refusing to honor the gold for dollar agreement. No military retaliation followed, no sanctions. The world simply accepted it. The U.S. kept the gold and maintained global dominance without firing a shot. Yes, trust in the dollar dipped, but the U.S. quickly reasserted its power by creating the petrodollar system, forcing nations to buy oil using U.S. dollars. The dollar's dominance not only survived, it grew stronger, but with time, public doubt returned. And by 2011, people were asking for a full, independent audit of Fort Knox. Because the last near-complete audit had been done by 1986, over 25 years earlier.
Ago. Surely, a full audit every 25 years is not too much to ask.
That's why Congressman Ron Paul introduced the Gold Reserve Transparency Act of 2011. It called for a full audit of all U.S. gold reserves, including Fort Knox, involving independent experts outside the government watching over the process, not just internal agencies, to verify the presence and integrity of the gold. The bill was discussed in a congressional hearing that June. The man testifying, Eric M. Thorson, the Treasury Inspector General, and the one in charge of overseeing gold audits at the time. He insisted that 100% of the gold had been inventoried and audited every year, so no further audit was needed.
Reserves in the Mint's custody have been 100% inventoried and audited. In closing, based on the work performed by my office and by my own personal observations, I can assure the subcommittee, and as you said, sir, the American people, that both the quantities and the value of the U.S. government's deep storage gold reserves held and reported by the Mint are reliable and fully audited. I mention the American people because, as you said, sir, they own this gold. The reason we go through all of the procedures that I just mentioned is to give the American people the absolute confidence that the gold reserves are as represented. Fort Knox, for instance, it isn't just a huge stockpile of gold. It is also a symbol of the stability and financial soundness of their government. To create doubt about the value or the security or even the very presence of the gold reserves without reason contributes to the distrust in government that seems to be a growing trend today.
This sparked debate in Congress and drew attention from the public, but in the end the bill was never passed. Apparently, Congress saw no need to approve a full third-party audit to regain trust. Thorson said in that hearing that they've been doing ongoing seal inspections and spot checks from 1987 up to today. But let's be clear about what that actually means. These so-called audits consist of checking whether vault seals have been broken and occasionally opening a sealed compartment to test a few random bars. Once that's done, they reseal it and move on. They still call this process an audit, but it's a far cry from the full wall-to-wall audits that were carried out in the 1970s and 80s.
Imagine what benefit there would be if, in fact, the seals that cover those doors are unbroken.
Well, it just seems like it doesn't conform to my idea of what an audit is all about.
They trick and confuse the public by saying Fort Knox is audited every year, including as recently as September 2024, when in reality, what they described is nothing more than an inspection, not a real audit. This would be a great moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And the best part is, the video only gets better from here. Here's the kicker you need to know. Thorson openly said that auditing every gold bar again would be too costly and unnecessary, because they've been sealed since the 80s. But at the same time, they do break seals to test random bars. So, who decides which seals to break? Who replaces them? And who watches over this process? We, the public, are supposed to just take their word for it, even though no independent party has been allowed to inspect the gold for nearly 40 years. If there's truly nothing to hide, why not at least allow cameras during those so-called yearly inspections? Why not let a neutral team document it? If Fort Knox is the most secure place in the country, as they claim, a filmed inspection wouldn't pose any risk. In fact, it would rebuild trust, which the US government keeps losing. If we have billions to spend on unnecessary wars, we certainly have enough to fund a proper audit. The more you look into it, the less sense it actually makes. But here's Thorson's response in that 2011 hearing.
1,200 people together, have them move the bars. It's going to take a very long time. Obviously, as I said in my statement, I don't see the benefit at any cost, really.
He claimed there's no benefit to conducting a full audit at any cost, even after 25 years. He expected the American people to simply believe him when he said the gold was there. And let's not forget, the last full audit program, which verified nearly every bar, took over a decade to complete. Treasury staff have admitted that even a fast-track full audit today would take at least 18 months. This proves what we already suspect. When they say, "We audit Fort Knox every year," it's a carefully chosen phrase designed to mislead, because a yearly audit isn't even possible. Now, as promised, here are a few moments of Eric Thorson sounding suspicious. First, when asked how audits would change if the US returned to the gold standard, he dodged the question completely, saying he couldn't comment on whether it would be good or bad.
As far as any discussion regarding returning to the gold standard, you're really getting into much more a policy issue. Both of us, we're auditors. We will certainly be able to look at any process or procedure or plan if that ever happened. But as far as commenting on that as a policy as to whether it's a good idea or bad idea, that's really out of our realm.
Very good. Okay.
Later, he was asked how much the U.S. spends annually to store and protect its gold. He seemed confused, first answering as if the question was about the cost of the audit bill, then saying he didn't know how much his office actually gets paid to do the job of overseeing the gold audits. It almost sounded like his brain heard a different question. A guilty conscience, maybe?
Do you have an idea?
The which, I'm sorry?
The annual cost to protect and hold these holdings?
What it would cost to follow through on this bill?
No. Or right now we have the gold sitting in Fort Knox and Denver, and
we don't really. I mean, because we're doing many audits at the same time and that sort of thing. I don't think we've really ever broken down what it costs to do this particular, at least what it costs my office to do this.
Okay, I'm asking what it costs. What is the cost to, I guess, the government or the mint or whoever pays the bill to protect the gold?
Oh, the security.
Security.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching till the end. Please leave me your opinion in the comments. I would love to know what you think. And do not forget to stay curious and stay hodling.